So today we're going to learn about Maria Montessori. Maria Montessori was born in Ancona, Italy. She lived from 1870 to 1952. At 26 years of age, she became the first woman physician in Italian's history. From this, she had an interest with working with patients that had mental retardation. And she wanted to work with these patients with the hope of educating them. From here, she formed the ideas that we first have to observe children and notice their natural tendencies and interests. And then by using these observations, we can form ideas about how the ways that children might learn best and what their likes and interests are. She continued her work with teaching developmentally delayed children and found that they learn best when using their senses. And then she used these two ideas to help create her ideas on overall education. And she also created sensitive periods, which were times when children are able and eager to master certain tasks. So in 1907, Montessori took on the responsibility of educating children who lived in the slums of San Lorenzo. Here she established over 50 schools for the poor children, and called them children's houses. Here she kept working to develop her ideas and techniques on educating children, and in the years to come, her education style would become famous, but it would end up being seen as too radical to change the current education system. In the 1960s, her work began to again gain interest. So now we're going to talk about Montessori's theories. We'll take a look at her sensitive periods and education in Montessori schools, and then we'll see me do some modeling of Montessori theories, and then how we might use these ideas in all schools. So during the sensitive periods are a time when children work to master certain abilities. And she stressed the importance of children having the chance and opportunities to master these abilities during those sensitive period times. If they don't have that chance, it could have damage on the development of that ability. So the first sensitive period is a sensitive period for order. And so this occurs during the first 3 years, and this is when children have a strong need to put objects where they belong. Next is the sensitive period for details between ages 1 and 2, and children direct their attention on tiny details. So instead of looking at the overall big pictures, they're going to look for little objects in it or other tiny details. And then number 3 is a sensitive period for the use of hands. This is between 18 months to 3 years, and children are grabbing objects, testing out their movements, refining those movements, and just overall exploring their sense of touch. Sensitive period number 4 is a sensitive period for walking. This happens from years 1 to 2. And children are driven by this inner impulse to try and walk, and then they work so hard to master that the walking. And then number 5 is a sensitive period for language, and this happens from a few months old to about 6 years of age. And at this time, children learn language, and they really start speaking at remarkable speeds and learning the complex parts of language. So in Montessori schools, the goal of education is to assist children in their learning, and then provide them with the opportunities to learn. Children are not driven by external forces, but by an inner need to master skills. We as teachers are there to observe their interests and then give them a chance to explore and build on those interests and also their sensitive periods. So children can start in the Montessori schools from about 2.5 years of age, and they are in that same classroom until they're about 6 years old. But there are some schools where children continue in the Montessori schools above the age of 6. And here learning is just really child-centered, hands-on, and controlled by the students. So here are just some overall characteristics of Montessori schools. There's independence and concentration, where teachers give students time to work independently on activities that capture their interests. And then through that, they have that concentration to be completely engrossed and invested in whatever they're working on. There's free choice, where children select what they want to work on. Rewards and punishments that are not external by the teacher, but are internal from the students. They build on that internal drive, and Montessori didn't want the students to look at the teachers for approval, but instead look inside themselves. There's a gradual progression where they only learn one skill at a time, and then once they master that skill, then they move on to the next level. With reading and writing, writing is taught first in hands-on and sensory ways, and then reading happens after. As regards to misbehavior, the children are not allowed to abuse materials or their classmates. They really work on building respect for the materials and others. But if misbehavior does occur, the children is isolated, and then they get to see what they're missing, and they get to see how other children are working and valuing their work. We point out the real discipline is something that needs to come from within the child. And if the child is misbehaving, it's an indication that the child is not interested in their work. And then also there's nature, where children need a rich contact with nature and the outdoors. This helps children build a responsibility, patience, and feelings for nature. So here we're going to see me modeling some of Montessori's theories that you can use in the classroom.
So I just want you to let you know you can play with whatever you want to play with in here, but remember we need to respect our toys. And so that means no throwing them or breaking them or anything like that. We can play with whatever you'd like.
Okay, I'll just play whatever I like. Hey!
So here we can see the young girl is allowed to explore the area in the way that she wants. We go through a quick reminder about respect, and the teacher is just an observer, taking notes of the child's interest or the sensitive periods that they might be in. So in this clip, we're going to see me again just observing. We'll see that she chose to continue to work on this activity, and she's very engrossed and focused in this and plays here for about 7 minutes. And also take a look and see that she's in the sensitive period for order, which you can see when she's moving things around in the house, and then also a lot of the use of hands. So in this video, we're going to see she has picked out a puzzle to do, and she's picked this out all on her own. She's very engrossed in it, and again, the teacher is just an observer.
It does.
And so how can we use this in our own classroom? One way would be to provide choice. So allow the students to have a choice in activities they do or options to do within those activities, so the students can modify the lesson or activity to fit their interests. So create lessons that engage the students. So teachers have them engaged in several ways, in hands-on and interactive, and with increased interest from the students, the need for rewards and punishments and misbehaviors could decrease with that. Create things that are student-centered, so the lessons in the classroom are based on the students' interests and maybe the sensitive periods that they're in. Teachers take time to observe each student and notice their interests and sensitive period and use those in the classroom. Work to develop respect in the classroom, so just make it a focus in the classroom, and also get nature into the classroom. So get outside when possible. Do lessons that involve working with nature, inside or outside. Have plants in the classroom or class garden, whether that be inside or outside. And also working with these plants can help build responsibility and respect in the classroom.